Hi, my name is Kennedy. Today I will be reading you Onward. In a world where magic had been replaced by technology, Ian Lightfoot was a shy teenage elf who lived with his mom, brother Barley, and their pet dragon Blazy. Ian and Barley's dad had passed away when the boys were very young. Ian missed his dad every day and wished that he could talk to him for real. Today was Ian's 16th birthday, and his mom, Laurel, had a surprise for him. Ian and Barley's dad had left a special gift for them, which would only be opened when both boys turned 16. Inside was a real wizard staff, a rare phoenix gem, a visitation spell. They would allow Ian and Barley to bring back their dad for one day only. Up in Ian's bedroom, the brothers tried the spell, and suddenly a beam of light shot out of the staff. Then their father's shoes and socks began to materialize, but Ian was struggling to hold the staff steady. Barley tried to help, but the gem exploded. They thought the spell had failed until they heard something turning in the wardrobe. It was their dad, but only from his bottom half. The legs staggered around, and Ian was upset to see his father's confusion. Barley tapped out the ribbon on Dad's shoes, just like he had done as a child. Dad tapped on his foot in reply, then placed his foot on Ian's. He knew that his sons were with him. Now Ian and Barley had to find another phoenix gem to retread the spell before sunset, but first they had to get a map to help them. "We'll start at the place where all quests begin," said Barley confidently. "The Manicore Tavern." The Manicore was a legendary 1,000-year-old warrior. Ian had his doubts, but then a Lightfoot man plied on the Genuver Barley's truck and drove off along the way. Ian used his old clothes to make an upper body for Dad. When they arrived at the tavern, they found it was now a family-friendly restaurant hosting birthday parties and karaoke. And the Manicore, now better known as Cory, was no longer a fearsome beast spoken about in legends. Barley asked Cory for the map, but she refused. Cory now believed that quests were dangerous. Barley reminded Cory that she used to take the risk and lived for adventure. Realizing she was living a lie, the Manicore cried out, "What have I become?" Then she blew fire around the tavern, burning everything modern. Suddenly, a flaming wood beam started falling towards Dad. Using the staff, Ian was able to use the levitation spell and saved him. On the menu, which was based on the original map, Barley found a clue that led them to the Raven Point, so he jumped in the Genuver. On the way, they needed to get gas. As Ian was filling up the gas can, he heard a dewdrop. The leader of the motorcycle club of the tough-talking spirits called the Pixie Dusters, arguing with Barley. Then Dad had accidentally bumped into the Pixie Dusters' motorbikes, and they all fell over. The spirits were furious. Ian, Barley, and Dad jumped into the Genuver and managed to get away. However, they were soon pulled over by the police. Ian used a disguise spell, cloaking himself and Barley in the image of Officer Bronco, their mom's boyfriend, but the spell came with a rule: if Ian lied, or a part of the disguise would disappear. The plan worked until one of the officers called Barley and screwed it up. When Ian disagreed, one of the legs vanished, and Barley knew that Ian had lied. Having got away from the police, Ian tried to explain that he didn't think his brother was a screw-up. But Barley knew magic didn't lie. Barley turned on the music in the van and got out. "I don't know how any of this stuff works," exclaimed Ian. "All I know is that everything we've done tonight has gone wrong." "It's gone wrong because you won't listen to me," replied Barley. Suddenly, Dad started dancing to the vibration of the music. He strutted over to the boys and got them to dance too. With the tension broken, Barley said that he wanted a chance to prove himself, and Ian agreed to do things his way. Meanwhile, worried about her son, Laurel began to the burning tavern where the Manicore told her about their quest. The tavern owner then remembered about the Phoenix Gem curse, which she'd forgotten to mention to Barley and Ian. The only thing that would help them against the curse was her enchanted sword, the Curse Crusher. They raced to the pawn shop and managed to get the sword back and the inflated price from the greedy owner, Grecklin. Back on the quest, Ian, Barley, and Dad had reached the statue to the tavern. Barley realized that the clue wasn't leading them to the Raven's Point. It was telling them to go where the ravens were pointing. Sure enough, they looked to the direction of the statue pointing, and they could see another raven in the distance. Ian was impressed. Maybe his brother had been right all along. Following where the ravens were pointing, they eventually came to the raven that stood near the river. There was a loose stone on the tavern, which Barley pulled out. The strange symbol on the stone gave them an idea. "We go to the end of the water, and then we'll find the Phoenix Gem," said Barley. Ian, Barley, and Dad followed the river into a cave. Using the magic, Ian made a raft from one of Barley's cheese puffs. Along the way, Ian practiced another spell. He felt more confident that he would be able to perform a visitation spell again, and finally meet his dad. At the moment, Barley shared a sad memory. When their dad was in the hospital, Barley was too scared to go into his room and say goodbye. Barley sighed. "That's when I decided I was never going to be scared again." The river ended at the entrance of the final gauntlet. Barley said that the Phoenix Gem would be on the other side. They ran through the tunnel and entered a small chamber that started to fill with water. The boys guided Dad to a portal opening and climbed through the portal at the sunlight above. But they discovered that they were back in the new mushroom ton, that they were right where they started. "No, that doesn't make sense," exclaimed Barley. "This has to be where the Phoenix Gem is. I followed my gut." Ian was crushed. He trusted his brother, and it had got him nowhere. Ian walked away with Dad, leaving Barley alone. Ian sat on a cliff as the sun began to set and pulled out the list of things he'd want to do with his father. He was about to scribble them all off when Ian realized something. He had already done them all, not with Dad, but with Barley, and know about his times during his life that his brother had encouraged him, had fun with him, and has helped him become a better person. Barley had always been there for Ian. Now Ian would return the favor. In the meantime, Barley had noticed that the stone from the raven statue fit perfectly in the old fountain. It opened up the hidden chamber, revealing the Phoenix Gem. Ian returned to help, but suddenly a smoky mist poured out of the fountain. It was a curse. The fire-breathing beast stomped towards Barley. "Run!" he shouted to Ian and Dad. Just then the dark shape swooped down from the sky. It was the Manicore, wielding the Curse Crusher, and Laurel riding on her back. While Laurel and the Manicore battled the dragon, Ian put the Phoenix Gem in a place and cast the visitation spell. This caught the dragon's attention. Barley wanted to distract it so Ian could finally meet Dad. "No!" exclaimed Ian. "You say goodbye. I had somebody who looked out for me, someone who pushed me to be more than I ever thought I could be. I never had a dad, but I always had you." Ian hit the dragon with his spell as Laurel tossed the Curse Crusher to him, and he plunged it deep into the curse. The dragon exploded with a blinding flash. Suddenly, another burst of light. Ian saw Dad fully materialize in front of Barley. Tears filled Ian's eyes as Barley and Dad talked. When the sun set, Dad hugged Barley and then disappeared. Barley told his brother how proud Dad was of Ian. Ian smiled. Well, I owe an awful lot of that to you. He kinda said that too, said Barley. Oh, he told me to give you this. Barley gave his brother a big hug. The quest changed the Lightfoot family. Each of them had discovered things about themselves they hadn't known before. And the experience of seeing Dad return, even briefly, had brought the family closer together than ever. No matter what it was to come, they would always have each other to lean on. Thank you for joining me, guys.